Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good evening, good afternoon and good morning. Welcome wherever you are joining us here today on USA Global TV and Radio. We're delighted to have you with us. And today's show is Authentic Achievements, which was set up a number of years ago now, really with a view to helping share inspiring stories of people making an impact on the world. And today's guest is absolutely no exception to that. I'm delighted today to be joined by Clayton Savage, who is the founder of the Spiritual Therapy Foundation. It's a 501c3 non-profit organisation that provides support and resources to children, seniors and families affected by health issues, socio-economic hardships and trauma. Over the years, they've impacted the lives of thousands of men, women and children through their various programs, and they're proud of the positive impact they've made in their lives. They partnered with St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital for their annual Healing Our Children benefit concert. With each performance, members of the group take time to interact, including a brief meet and greet with the audience in a caring and thoughtful manner, offering a compassionate smile and words of encouragement. And what an amazing, amazing purpose to have in life. And I'm delighted to now have Clayton join us.
Praise God. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Just a delight to be here. And what a journey. I mean, I love that. And we were chatting a little bit backstage. So I might bring that back in because we're having an amazing chat. Then we had to get started. But that kind of like journey that brought you here. Could you bring that to life a little bit for us?
Well, I got started late on this journey. But as they would say, better late than never. What happened, I started off at a young age playing music. And then at the age of 19, had a child. And then my mother said, you got to be grown up about this thing. We got to get you a job. But I went to school, learned contracting, construction, and that carried me on through to raise my family. When my child was out of the house, then I went on to actually pick the guitar back up about 35, 40 years later. And I got involved in music again, playing for God. And I said to him, actually, if you allow me to live, and I distinctly said this, Lord, if you allow me to live long enough to whereas my children are grown and gone, I'll come back and play for you. And so therefore this journey as far as Spiritual Therapy Foundation started. We picked it up as far as playing music and to inspire folks and people around us in different communities, what have you. So basically that's where I'm at now.
I love that. And what you're doing is just such an amazing thing, because of creating that real sense of community and that sense of hope. That hope, that sharing the fact that life doesn't always go exactly the way we wanted it to, but that doesn't mean to say it's a bad life. There's
Right.
always a way through that. And I think the bit that so much of it resonated for me, but compassionate smile and words of encouragement, they may seem like small things, but they can be just game changers for people, can't they?
That's right. And just like you said, the small things. One of the things that I found is socializing. Now, we don't come together in a physical form like we used to, but we as spiritual therapy is promoting that. And when you come together and you can see someone's face as you're talking, as you're communicating, their gesturing and posture and what have it's that, you could get an understanding of exactly where they are and where they're trying to get to. And then that goes the same for the actual group, because we go in with nothing but love. And this love is to actually inspire hope so that somebody can actually be lifted up and do what it is that they need to do on the next day. Or if you will, if you give them one more day, that one more day may actually create days beyond days.
Yeah. It's so true, because as we were saying before we came on, I think sometimes we it takes us a long time to find our purpose, doesn't it? Sometimes we've not quite listened to the advice that's given us, or I know certainly I was very guilty of this, or I've clung really hard to the fact that I think my version of my path is the one. It's like eventually I had to go, yeah, okay, I get it. It's not, that's not where you want me to go. So I need to just be able to let it go and live the life that unfolds, and look for doing the best that I can. So I guess that's a lot about what spiritual therapy is, but could you tell us kind of what's the vision and mission for it? What's its purpose?
Once again, we kind of touched on it here and there, which is to actually uplift ailing souls. We all know that music is a universal language. So not only can it speak to you differently in different languages, but it can speak to the same group of people, whether it's speaking English or whatever it's not, but in a different way. And that song takes on a certain form to actually go into these people's hearts and cause them to either do for others or to be lifted up themselves. So our vision is to actually lift up, or as we would say, we sing to massage the ailing souls. So that's our mantra, if you will. And so we do those type of things in order to actually keep us as a people together, to be as one, to be united. I see a lot of division that's going on in this world today, but by the same token, we all have to come together, or those who will do it and willing to do it, come out there and actually get involved in the community and help these communities to grow. Because guess what? There's nothing like having a future and knowing that there's a future before you leave here.
Oh, that's so true. I love that, because I think you do right. Yeah, we listen to music, and it can mean different things to us on different days. Even the same piece of music, can't it? Yeah. It speaks to or something that's going on in our world, or an emotion that is more heightened than any of the others. But that sense of community, you know, we are social animals. We want to feel connected, and when we don't feel connected, the negative impact on our lives is significantly greater, isn't it?
That's right. It's funny that you bring that up. I was listening to a gentleman. I didn't get his name because I came right in on the in the middle of the conversation. But he was on NPR here in Detroit, and he was talking about how we naturally, instinctively, are social creatures, and that's what causes us to vibe. I mean, and one of the things, just to throw something out there real quick, one of the things that he said that causes division was years and years ago when cars came out and people were able to drive to the suburbs and move away from the inner city. And then now it is one of the things where in the inner city, you used to walk to the corner store. Everything was happening in the inner city. Kids was playing. There's playgrounds. There's all kind of interaction. But everybody started to go their own separate ways. The same thing with television. Television, it used to be only one station, two stations, maybe three stations, where the family had to come together and watch it together. But now there's so many different things. So therefore, we divide ourselves by getting involved in those type of things. And this is one of the things that spiritual therapy is actually preaching on. Let's come together And because you be glad that you did, because when you come to a concert, what happens is there's a call to action to help those that's in need. And so that's what this whole thing is all about. And I just love community. I love interaction. I love people. But we're dividing up, and that's one of the things I do not like that I'm seeing.
No, it's such a great point, because I've not really thought of that, but we do. You know, I mean, I'm very lucky. It's just me and my little girl and the dog. So, you know, we sit together, you know, every evening, and we pick something that we're going to watch. Yeah. And admittedly, I'd say we share, Clayton, but I mean, you can imagine with an 8-year-old, the sharing is she picks 8 times. I pick once, the dog picks once, and she picks another 8 times. But at least we're doing it together, like, you know, and spending that. Because the greatest gift we can give people is our time, isn't it? So, you know, one of the things that Scarlett and I do every year at Christmas is we have a whole day of doing homemade baking that then becomes gifts we take out to our neighbours and friends and family. Because actually we had to give them our time to spend the day to bake them. And it's more teaching her about the value of that, because I think we're losing some of that, aren't we, in the race to immediate satisfaction. We just want we want whatever we want it now, and then we're not thinking about the consequence of that. And I read somewhere this week, and I can't think where it was, that actually there was a study, and it said particularly for women, that they need to be hugged at least 5 times a day for their mental and spiritual well-being. Whomever it is that is hugging them, doesn't really matter, but it just is one of the needs. And they saw in this study that actually without that connection, that it had a negative impact on them, on their health. And you think how many of our older people are now not in a place where they've got that community around them to necessarily afford them that.
That's right. You know, there's a lot of excellent points that you brought up there, and I'm going to hit on this one thing, just like when you were saying, you and your daughter, when you guys come together and one pick one thing and one pick the other. That part of socialism actually causes you how to communicate.
Yeah.
And even regardless to what happens, your daughter will find out and learn how to work with somebody who doesn't agree with her.
Yeah.
It's not about, we could disagree, but not be disagreeable. Okay. And so with all that being said, you know, these are the type of things. And listen, the word says that the charity begins at home. Okay. And it said also to bring up a child in the way they should go, and it won't depart. So these are different type of things that we need to bring up from the home. Once again, and stop allowing the television to raise our kids, and social media. When I say social media, these telephones, they stay in the telephone, they never put them things down. So if we can come together and just talk, there's times when I was out with the fellas or what have you, they say, well, Clayton, we don't agree with you. Why not? What is it? And it never went home with a fight. We may have disagreed on some things. There's certain things that we actually talked it out, and I say, okay, I see your point. But you can't learn anything when it's all just your view. Yeah. See, so that's the whole thing in a nutshell right here. Again, with spiritual therapy, we're trying to show the people that we can, listen, even though we got all different lives, we can all come together for this one single purpose, which is to help people. And that's what this is all about.
I love that. That so resonates, because one of the things that I try really hard to do, both myself and with my little girl, is ask myself constantly, why am I so convinced I'm right, and why am I so convinced that you're wrong, and what can you see that I can't see that might allow me to have a different point of view, or see a different perspective, or go, yes, I'm still going to agree to disagree, but I see your point. I see that there was some logic to it. We're no longer poles apart. And I always say to Scarlett, before you say or do anything, the only thing I want you to ask yourself is, if somebody did or said this to me, how would I feel? Right. And if I wouldn't feel happy, then I'd ask you to make a different choice.
Right.
Because we can, you know, we can look at those and seeing it through a child's perspective, where she had a little a fallout earlier this week, and she knew what her intention was, and then her little friend had got very upset, and I said, okay, that was your intention, but your friend didn't know your intention. Do you think she might have thought you didn't want to play with her? And she went, I didn't realise, Mummy. Yes, she might have done. I said, okay, so now if she thought you didn't want to play with her, can you see why she burst into tears? Yes, Mummy, but I did want to play with her. I said, okay, but this is where sometimes what we say and what we do don't align, and all we can then do is go and apologise for the impact we had, whilst acknowledging that our intention was not to have caused that. We were trying to do this thing over here. I said, but we've stopped the art of talking to each other, and part of that is listening. So listening is an act of love, isn't it? If you really listen to somebody, then you are showing care. You're showing love for that person, because you're giving them that level of respect and validation, I guess, that they've got something valuable to say. That's and right. That you want to listen to it. And I think it's some of these subtle things that we just need to turn the volume up in society so that we can get back to being connected.
Right. And everything that you're saying, when you're talking about intentions, there's actually a saying, and this saying, I get it. It says, many roads to hell was paved with good intentions. And all it's saying is that you may intend it. However, go back. If you see that it went astray, went awry, then you go back, and like you're telling your daughter, go back and talk to her, apologize, or show, or make some clarification of what it is that, you know, what your intentions were. In the world, period, anything could be misconstrued. Anything could actually take a wrong turn just by one word. Yeah. And that one word wasn't intended to hurt the person. You were just trying to complete a sentence, but it just didn't go well. So the thing is that we all need to learn how to, as a matter of fact, the people who has been hurt also need to learn how to go to the person that hurt them and say, you know, that hurt my feelings. Yeah. And then you can start a conversation on why and how. And then from that point, you easy and smooth sailing. Yeah, that's what we need. Yeah,
it's so true, because I think you kind of end up in that space, don't you, where and because sometimes you feel for yourself. So our emotional brain responds 24 times faster than our thinking brain. Yeah. So the problem is that something factually happens and we make it mean something, but what you make it mean could be very different to what I make it mean. And now we're dealing with what we've made it mean, not what's actually happening, because we've got a disconnect. And to your point, if we can go back and clarify, and if we can go back and say, okay, Clayton, I think I upset you there. I didn't mean to, but I can see I have. So can I understand what I did? Or for you to say, do you know what, Kim, actually, you hurt my feelings when you said that, because that made me feel like this. And like, well, that wasn't what I intended. But it's that having the courage to be vulnerable, isn't it? Because it is you put yourself in a position of vulnerability when you are willing to go and step into that. I can see you're upset and I didn't mean to, or actually you've upset me and I'd like to talk about it. It takes that leap of faith, doesn't it?
That it does. You again, an excellent point. You said courage. Now, courage doesn't mean you big, bad, and all that and whatever. No, not at all. Courage means you have the strength to acknowledge your weakness as well as your strength. Yeah. And that way you can go and talk to someone, especially at your most vulnerable state. Or you could go and talk to someone that when you actually have felt that you stepped on their toes. Or you can actually humble yourself, because it takes more strength to have humility than it does for you to be blown and puffed up. Okay, so the thing is, you allow this person to come to your space and say, this is what happened, and this is what I want to talk to you about. Then at this point in time, the Bible tells you, you listen, you're supposed to be quick to listen, but slow to speak. In other words, you hear everything this person's got to say, and then you can actually compartmentalize exactly what's going on, and then actually respond in a proper way, not react, but to respond in a proper way, you know? And that's the reason why I hear the saying, people say, well, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Well, you're supposed to listen double twice or twice as much. See, so that's what this is all about. Absolutely.
Oh, I love that. And I so want to get into that. But can we take a brief moment to hear from our sponsors, and then we will be back just on that point, actually.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
See you in a minute.
Ever dreamed of hosting your own TV show, sharing your story with a global audience? Now's your chance to shine. At USA Global TV and Radio, we make it easy for you to create, host, and broadcast your very own TV show. Whether you're a storyteller, entrepreneur, or industry expert, we help you bring your vision to life. With our exclusive interview, live streaming, and podcasting training, you'll gain the skills and confidence to captivate your audience. Our global platform ensures your voice is heard worldwide. Join our community of creators who are already making an impact, one show at a time. Step into the spotlight. Host your own TV show on USA Global TV and Radio. Book your discovery call today at usaglobaltv.com. Copyright 2025 USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. To learn more, visit usaglobaltv.com.
Wow, so thank you for that from our sponsors. And let's get Clayton back out, because I think the part we were just talking about was so important. And Clayton, I was thinking about it while we listened to that piece from our sponsors. That whole element of being active in listening, because one of the things that I've spotted is that we've been taught, haven't we, that when I stop talking, you're supposed to start talking. And so when I think that you're about to wrap up, I start thinking about what I'm going to say instead of really listening to what you've got to say, taking a moment of pause and then responding, like that, being comfortable with the silence to go, well, actually, the most important thing you might say might be the last 4 words. But if I've already started back here, navigating what I'm going to say in response, then I'm not really listening. And that's often where some of that discord comes from, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, it is. The anxiousness to have a say can destroy a conversation. You get involved with a conversation, and the only way it can be a conversation if the two that's conversing is actually hearing what each other is saying. And I know my wife, what I love about her is I'll say something, and sometimes she'll repeat the last thing that I said, like in the form of a question, making sure she understood what I just said. That way there's no misunderstanding. She don't assume that I said something. Now, if she goes on to speak, then of course she feels that she understands exactly what I'm saying. But for the most part, when I'm saying something to her or we having a conversation, she will politely repeat the last few things I said, or she'll ask, well, are you saying this? And then guess what? The conversation never runs off its tracks.
Yeah. Well, it's making sure that you've taken that moment to clarify understanding, isn't it? So that you know you're answering the right question. Because I always say to anybody I meet, really, you know, you don't get to choose how somebody behaves towards you, but you do get to choose how you respond, and it is a choice. So you have to own that choice and go, well, you know, I was just in the heat of the moment. That's not good enough, because like you had a choice. Which was to step away, or to have a different conversation, or to ask clarifying questions that might mean you've got really upset. Actually, that's not what they were saying. You've misunderstood. And like you say, it can be very easy to derail that path of communication, can't it? That, you know, that journey we're on. But just as easily as it is to derail it, it's as easy to get it back on track by asking better questions, isn't it? Clarifying some of those points. And I guess for me, one of the things, so I read it in, I think it's in the complete works of Florence Scovel Shine, and she talks about a monastery group that live out in the, you know, in the jungle, and they're surrounded by wild animals, you know, who could clearly attack them, and yet none of them have ever been harmed, and that's because they don't ever say hello to each other. So everybody they greet, whether that's animal or person, they greet them with, I salute the serenity in you. So they look for the good in everything, and they find the good. And when I heard that, it so resonated with me, which is, you know, in those moments where I find myself having to work really hard at a response I'm going to be proud of.
Right.
I like remind myself, is I salute the serenity in you. I salute the serenity in you, because there's serenity in all of us, and it allows me to see the good thing in them. That allows me to pick a better response most of the time.
Right. Well, I mean, most of the time is been better than none of the time, if you will. Because the thing is that when you're trying to communicate, and that's again, like I was saying with spiritual therapy, there's certain songs that we choose according to the audience, and according to what we actually feel that stands within our body, that stands up with our value. So we're trying to communicate those things with the people, or to the people. There's a song that's called "You Make Me Feel Brand New" by the Stylistics. Now, we sing gospel, but we actually converted it into a gospel song. And the message was feeling brand new. and actually, with that being said, uplifting people. We want you to come in to actually have an understanding that we're not only having you to come here and listen to some music, but we want you to take something away from this music. And even if it's no more than being either lifted up or being called to action, because music can do that. And that's the same thing that we're talking about as far as communicating. You gotta choose the right songs. You gotta do the right things. And when you say gotta do the right things, I know we're human, therefore mistakes is gonna happen and whatever it's not. But you keep it down to a minimum, and that's the best that we can do.
That is so true. Forgive me, the dog has decided he's not keeping it to a minimum.
That is no problem.
Here's the thing to say, pudding. Honestly, I do apologise, Clayton.
That's no problem.
You're so right. It's in that, you know, that music can be such a connector, can't it? Or it can help us navigate situations that are going on for our lives. Or you know, for me, if I'm ever down, music's where I go to. Because there's certain songs that I know uplift me, and then it's very difficult to be as down as I was before. If you've just been dancing around the kitchen like a lunatic, it's quite hard to see the sadness in the same way that you saw the sadness before before the song. And I love, therefore, that as a community, you're creating that community connection to the song, and the power of that song, and the power of that ability for it to give you what you're supposed to take from it in that session. So it might just be, I'm supposed to feel uplifted, but it might be that for me, it's supposed to be, it helps me get clarity on what is my purpose.
That's
Or
right.
it might be that it helps me suddenly we have those moments, don't we? All of a sudden we go, a problem we've been trying to solve for forever, and the answer just suddenly comes in. You're like, where did you come from? But that can often be in moments of listening to music, can't it? Where we're relaxed and another part of our brain that's been working on these problems gives us the answer because we've given it space within which to come in.
Right.
So what's next for the Spiritual Therapy Foundation?
Well, we have a concert that's coming up in June, and that's June 22nd, and it's going to be at Grace Community United Methodist Church, a real nice building. As a matter of fact, the original name was St. Timothy United Methodist Church, just in case someone looks it up and can't find it. I know for St. Timothy should be there if Second Grace, I'm sorry, not Second Grace, but Grace Community is not there. But nonetheless, it's this building, a nice building, a good, clean atmosphere. And that actually, when we choosing a building, that's one of the things that we look for. That's the criteria. Does this thing have a clean feeling spirit? You know, can people come in here and feel welcome? That's what that's all about. So yeah, that's going to be, like I said, June 22nd at 4:00 Sunday afternoon. And the concert usually, all of our concerts usually last 2 hours or less. But to add some more meat on the bones, this is a fundraiser for St. Jude, and the program is going to be filled with different clips showing you certain things that you've seen maybe on commercial, and then more. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how it was founded and who founded it, which we know is Danny Thomas. And so this is what this is all about. But this is to, once again, to communicate to the people that we need them. And when they come on board, they're being called to action. And not only do they get good music, then they get a good feeling of them doing something and participating in something that's worthwhile. Because we know, once again, we want to be able to give as much money as we can to the doctors and the nurses and the caregivers and whatever's that, so that they can actually find a cure where no child dies from cancer.
Wow, it's so true. And we do, don't we? We want to give. We want to. Yeah, we get a better feeling from giving than receiving. So actually, you know, when we're able to take part in something that we can give of ourselves, even if that's all we can do is give of ourselves, not give of anything else, we all get uplifted because it feels better, doesn't it? It feels better to give than to receive. And so I love that it's got such a purpose around it. So how can people get involved?
Well, if you want to come to the concert, well, let's say it this way. Let's start it off this way. Look us up on Spiritual Therapy Music at gmail.com. Then, if you will, you can look us up on Spiritual Therapy Foundation.com. Now, let me tell you what the difference is. The Spiritual Therapy Music is the band, and then Spiritual Foundation is the organization. Now, here's the deal. You and I talked backstage before we came on, and we was talking about how you evolve in your purpose. And actually, we started off with the band, and we started off doing smaller things for advocacy groups. And then this thing just evolved into this organization, which is Spiritual Therapy Foundation. And then with it being, yeah, there you go. Then when it evolved into Spiritual Therapy Foundation, now all we've been doing is raising money for St. Jude, because these kids, once again, listen, I want them to have a long life like I have. And the bottom line is, listen, we all go through these different struggles, and we have pains and backaches, leg aches, and the whole 9 yards, but we keep on keeping on. Well, we want to give these kids a chance to do this. And then on top of all that, some of these kids that will get these cures, and I'm going to call it out right now, the cure. When they get the cure, some of these kids are going to be doing the same thing that we're doing, which is out talking to the people and letting people know that there's a purpose and a call on their lives to go out and help others to be better and to be in a better place.
You're doing, because I think we're all here to add value, to give back, to do something that is bigger than us, and that can sometimes feel really daunting when you can't work out what that is. And yet sometimes it just needs to be in a little act of kindness, doesn't it? When they're smiling at somebody that looks like they're having a bad day, or letting somebody know that that they look nice, because how often do we think it and we don't say it? And yet that could be the thing that uplifts that person for the day and gives them the kind of oomph to go and do something similar. And I think, you know, the fact that you're looking to create better lives for the next generation, to show them the power of kindness, so that actually it inspires them to repeat the process, to go out and look to leave a legacy of kindness themselves, gives us real hope that we can make positive change in the world.
Yes, absolutely. I like when you bring up hope, and I'm going to say this concerning the hope, pertaining to hope. In one sense, and you just follow me on this, in one sense, people can look at hope as wishful thinking, but I don't look at hope like that. I look at hope as God's promise. That's all. Listen, you take that promise and run with it, and you'll be surprised at what you can do.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, Clayton. And it reminds me, I did my TEDx a couple of years ago, and it was on the power of hope, and the fact that, you know, hope and fear can only exist if the other one exists.
That's right.
The thing you're fearful for doesn't exist unless the thing you've hopeful for also exists. And we create them in our own brain. So neither one of them is more credible or more likely.
That's right.
And yet we choose to believe that the thing we're fearful of is more credible and is more likely.
That's right.
So we instead focus on going, oh no, my brain created them both. I'm going to go with the hope. I'm going to go with the fact that that is the one that I'm supposed to get to. It's amazing how much further we get, isn't it?
That's right. Doctors even I would say it's about 20 years ago, they start implementing and or telling their patients about faith. Yeah. Okay. And usually the business world try to separate themselves from the religious world or spiritual world, whatever the way you see it. But they started to implement faith. And the reason why, because they found out in a study that the more uplifted